One day the phone rang in my office. A woman's voice was at the other end of the line. Hello? Shalom, I said. Are you Moel Abuav? She inquired. Yes, who am I speaking to? Are you available tomorrow morning to perform a Brit-Milah in Cholon at 7:30? Yes, with pleasure, I answered. Great, so we're set for tomorrow. The address is at 7:30 sharp. I'm particular when it comes to being on time. This is how the strange conversation ended. I thought our exchange might have been brief because of a new mother's emotional state. I wrote down all the details and left the office to go home. The next day, right after the morning prayer, I called a taxi, and 20 minutes later, I arrived at the address mentioned the day before. To my great surprise, it was not a hall or a synagogue. It was a private home in an upscale neighborhood. Sign on the door said, Golan family. I knocked gently on the door, which immediately opened. Hi, I'm sorry I have to go. I'm late, the house owner said. As he left, his wife then turned to me. Nice to meet you. I'm Mrs. Golan. Did my husband leave already? I also have to go. Don't worry. Nanny's on her way. She'll be here in about 15 minutes to take over watching Yuvali. Meanwhile, you can perform the Brit, right? Yuvali, I asked. Ah, yes, Yuvali. That's the baby you need to circumcise. You already named him, I asked. Surprised? Yes. To tell you the truth, we didn't really want to circumcise him. We're not religious, you know. We're not at all attached to religious signs, but Haggai and I decided eventually it was worth it so he wouldn't be embarrassed in front of his friends when he grows up. I understood that Haggai, who had just left, was the baby's father. I then explained to Mrs. Golan, it is not possible to perform a Brit in such conditions. Who will be the Sandik? Where's the baby's father? What about a minion? I'm sorry, this isn't possible. We need a minion. I'm sorry, I'm very late, and I'm asking you to start as I absolutely have to leave in a minute or two. Since no other alternative was available, I went into the baby's room, I laid out my circumcision tools on the dresser, and I watched the baby sleep. At the same time, burning tears started streaming from my eyes. I was deeply saddened. I could not believe that a Jewish boy would enter the covenant of Avram Avinu in such a way. I gently woke up the baby and placed him on my knees. I fulfilled the roles of Sandik, Moel, and father, and I read the blessings myself. This is how I circumcised Yuvali. I then sat with him in my arms and cried like a baby. I cried over him, over the sadness of exile, and especially over the distressing reality resulting from Golus and Eretz Yisrael. Some Jews are far removed from their roots and from their pure and holy faith of their ancestors. I thought about the child and said to myself, if his parents are like this, who knows what will become of him? What upbringing will he receive? I felt we didn't understand our Jewish brothers and how we must judge them favorably. I sat there filled with sadness for half an hour, till the nanny suddenly arrived. She came running out of breath and apologizing for being late. She immediately came into Yuvali's room. She observed me, seemingly surprised to see a Haredi man trying unsuccessfully to hide his tears. Who are you? She asked. I am Moel Abuav, I said. Oh, I completely forgot. Mrs. Golan told me that Yuvali would undergo a minor surgery today. How is he? How's he feeling? It'll be fine. I have to go now, and I left without delay. That day I shared the Brit-Milah I had experienced with my relatives and friends, and eventually, with time, I forgot about it. Overall, I performed thousands of circumcisions for over 30 years in Tel Aviv. 12 years went by after Yuvali's circumcision. One day, a woman and her son, whose appearance indicated that they did not observe Torah and mitzvahs, walked into my office at the Tel Aviv Rabbanut. I was used to having this kind of visitors in my office, so I was not surprised. Suddenly, the woman asked, Are you Moel Abuav? Yes, I said. Who are you? I'm Mrs. Golan from Cholon. Do you remember me? No, I replied. She continued, Over 12 years ago, you were invited to perform the bris milah of my Yuvali. We left you alone with him until the nanny arrived. By then, I recalled the strange situation. One cannot forget such a circumcision. Of course I remember. I looked at Yuvali. He was tall and handsome. My son needs help, Mrs. Golan announced. How can I help you? I replied. For a long time, Yuvali has been insisting that he wants to meet his Moel. I didn't know what to do, so I brought him to you. Then, turning to his son, This is your Moel. Are you happy now? I would like to speak privately to the Rav, he said. When Yuval's mother left the room, he burst into tears. I want tefillin. I want to observe Shabbat. And most of all, I want to study Torah. I stood up and came closer to hug him. I tried to encourage him as much as possible. What's holding you back? My parents, he said resolutely. I left the room and called his mother. Your son does not have a problem, nor does he need help. He simply wants to study Torah. I know, Mrs. Golan replied. We have already spoken to several psychologists and advisors, and it's no use. Each gave their opinion, what we have to do and what is good for the child. They said, hence our presence here with you. Could you teach him Torah? I was once again in tears, but this time they were tears of joy. Apparently, during that particularly strange bris, I didn't cry alone, but Eliyahu Hanavi cried with me, and the Holy One, blessed is He, heard our prayer. Blessed is He who hears tefillah. And so it was that in the Messianic days, we find ourselves, in the words of our prophets, going back to the roots are being fulfilled. He may turn the heart of the fathers back through the children, and the heart of the children back through their fathers. Shabbat Shalom.